Good morning. Happy Sunday. Welcome. Come on in. Take a seat. Welcome to Althea. Good morning. So, as you're taking a seat, please check those phones. Make sure they're turned down. So, we are listening for a higher calling in here. I've got a few announcements for you, and then we will get started with our Sunday ceremonies. Good morning. My name is Luis Parente Rios. I am your MC today, and every Sunday, we have a prayer partner. Our prayer partner is Kristen Engelke, waving in the back. Hello, good morning. She's also our volunteer coordinator. She is available right after service to sit with you and pray for something that you feel you need or is missing through affirmative prayer, which is one of the foundations of Althea. If you are also ready to become a member today, come see me at the round table in the back at the Welcome Center, and we will get you set up with that today. Today, our beautiful flowers were donated by Judith Witten and Marilyn Leedy in honor of their parents. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Judith. We are all welcome to donate flowers in honor of someone special. So if you are interested in doing that for next Sunday, you can also see Kristen. If you are interested in one of the open positions for the board, next Sunday the board is meeting, so you need to have your application turned in by then. And right after service today at 12:30 is our grief workshop with Kelly Robin, who is our speaker today. So you can still join the grief workshop. You can pay in person. Okay. Speaking of paying, guess what I brought back from the dead? Our clover. So you might remember our dip jar. This replaced our dip chart. So if you brought a card and you're interested in donating in person today, come see me. We'll have this. You can donate 10, 20,000, whatever you want to donate, whatever the universal abundance is letting pass through you today. All right. So if you aren't yet, plant those feet on the ground, take a deep breath, land here at Althea with me. We are a spiritual non-denominational center created over 100 years ago by 4 powerful women on the land of the Arapaho, the Cheyenne, the Ute. We've been blessed by all these people, all the people that have come through here before, and now you who are here. So we are grounded in the practice of New Thought, ageless wisdom tradition. We're here to support all races, people from all cultures, all backgrounds, all faith and sexual orientations. We're rooted in the practices of spiritual teachings, meditation, prayer, and community above all. And we're here to support every sentient being in furthering their journey on the spiritual path toward awakening the spirit of oneness in all. So if this is your first time today, we'd like to honor our first time attendees. If you're willing and able, please stand or wave a hand, and we've got a special flower for you. Anybody? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking that leap of faith today. All right, as I said, we are grounded in prayer, so we start every service with prayer. Kristen Engelke is coming up here now to ground us in our opening prayer.
Good morning, bright lights. Thank you for being here. I would love it if you could join me in centering mindfully, physically, spiritually. Just allowing that peace to settle into your bones, noticing the brilliant dinging and singing of spirit. Relax. As I acknowledge the allness of spirit, it is here, above us, below us, to our right, to our left. Spirit is in front of us, it is behind us, it is in every cell of our being. It is in every sentient being. Spirit is love energy. This divine oneness is whole, perfect, and complete. And therefore, as divine emanations of this one energy, we are whole, perfect, and complete. Any illusion of separation dissolves right here, right now, as we come together in community to represent this wholeness, this oneness. We are so blessed to have this beautiful sacred sanctuary, to leave our problems at the door, to let them float away, as we allow our hearts, our minds, our souls to be steeped in this divine oneness, to reconnect with our true nature. I am deeply grateful on behalf of all of us who are present in this room, all of us who are watching online, and everyone we are in community with. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for investing in your well-being. Thank you, Reverend Kelly. Thank you, volunteers. We are so blessed and so grateful. Knowing that people everywhere are finding our lovely center to do their own work in a safe space, in a powerful space. I release these words out into that infinite law where everything begins in our thoughts before it outpictures in our reality. Letting go, letting God, and so it is. If you wouldn't mind standing, we will do our Althea statement of being. And you can read the words on the screen. It's also on your program. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God, and we are ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. You can remain standing as we sing Face of God.
You are... Hello, 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 hello. Give me 1 second, 1 second. Hello. Here we go. Let's start again. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of love.
Good morning. Oh, let's try that again. Good morning. There we go. We're alive. Let us rejoice. Here are the readings for today. When our life and behavior rise from a spiritual basis, we see life as something greater than a birth and death arrangement. We begin to think in terms of a spiritual universe rather than of a material world. We think in terms of eternal life and the immortality of the individual soul. That was written by Melinda E. Kramer and Fanny B. James, Divine Science, Its Principles and Practice. The next reading, The Long Road of Grief. You can't fight it. You can only walk it. Grief is not an enemy to be conquered. It is a road to be traveled. There is no shortcut, no battle to win. The weight of loss lingers in each step. The silence grows louder with every mile, but still we walk. One foot in front of the other, slowly, silently. Some days the fog will clear just enough for you to see a little further. Other days the road feels endless and you may feel alone. You are not. Grief does not ask for our strength or resistance. It only asks for our presence to walk with it, to honor the love that remains even when everything else feels lost. Let the road carry you. It's long, but it is yours. From Team Catherine. Team Catherine offers resources and information to pediatric and young adult cancer warriors and families. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick Kitzman. All right, it's my honor to introduce you to Verena Fuentes, our featured musician this week. She is a Mexican singer-songwriter now based here in Denver, known for her emotionally charged blend of contemporary pop, R&B, neo-soul, enriched with her Latin American heritage. Through her lyrics, she fearlessly explores themes of vulnerability, authenticity, and the multifaceted human experience, particularly from the perspective of a woman, person of color, friend, daughter, and partner. Verena has successfully used her music to amplify her own stories and the voices of those like her, making her music exceptionally relatable and meaningful. Please give her a warm Althea welcome to Verena Fuentes.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. And the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have have each other. And for that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we will rise 1,000 times. I'll rise up, rise like the day I'll rise up. In spite of the ache, I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up high like the waves, we'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you.
Thank you, Benina. All right, now it is my honor to introduce you to Kelly Robbins. She is a Center for Spiritual Living minister and the founder of Spiritual Living with Kelly Robbins. Woo! Kelly's multifaceted ministry allows her to facilitate life's significant rituals and turning points with reverence and love. Some of these include officiating celebrations of life, weddings, and facilitating the Together Forever premarital counseling program, which guides couples to create a stronger foundation for their marriage. She serves the community by honoring loved ones through memorials and celebrations of life, chaplaincy at a local hospital, and delivering Sunday talks at various Colorado Centers for Spiritual Living, Unity, and Divine Science churches. Kelly is the author of Trust Your Next Step, Creating Confidence to Cut Fresh Tracks, and is working on her second book that will be releasing this year. Please give her a warm welcome to Kelly Robbins.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday, Christina. Reverend Christina, if you're watching, or you watch this later. But before, we're going to talk about grief today and how to use grief, how to heal with grief, to use that energy, and to use it really as a catalyst for transformation. So how do we heal? How do we grieve and grow from it? But before I dig in, I want to take a moment and just acknowledge it's been a rough week. There's been a lot going on, not just in Colorado, but in our nation. And I just want to acknowledge that that presence is in the room. And I'm feeling like probably could use some space to grieve, some endings of so many different things. And I invite all of us to tap into what we are feeling. Grief doesn't have to be, we don't only grieve a death. We grieve endings. We grieve the loss of, it's a transition oftentimes. We grieve relationships that end. We just moments in time when our kids grow up and leave home. That's an ending of a phase of life. It's respectable and honorable to take time to acknowledge your feelings and process them and heal through them. And you might have other ideas of things that have changed, you've lost. It could be divorces are an ending, oftentimes, of dreams that we had. So this is kind of what we're talking about today. I am a chaplain at St. Anthony Hospital. I work at both of them. There's St. Anthony North up in the northern suburbs, and St. Anthony in Lakewood. And what I have seen, chaplains visit, like we go in and visit patients' rooms and just kind of sit and talk. Chaplain's not any specific denomination. You just talk with anyone. And I had a couple weeks there where people are in their beds, kind of bored to death. They don't feel well. They're in the hospital, and they have nothing to do, and the grief that they didn't know they had just comes flooding out, the uncontrollable crying. Some of them were aware that they hadn't processed their grief. Others just had no idea that this was trapped in their body. But it came out, and it took them being in the hospital to process it. So I thought, what a beautiful opportunity to bring it here to us in our spiritual community and just invite us all to say, hey, let's not wait until we're stuck in a hospital bed and it's forcing its way out. What can we do at home? What can we do in our daily lives to process this grief in a manageable way so that we are healthy? What can we do to bring some sacred space into our environment where we give ourselves this beautiful human experience of grieving? And why don't we grieve? Why don't we? One, we don't take time. We're busy. And even with a death, where we get like 2 weeks off work and then we have to go back to work. We don't have time. We don't sometimes know how. I think grieving has been done in community for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. They actually have, I think it was 300,000 years ago, before we were Homo sapiens, they have, I can't remember the word right now, but they have found remains of someone dying, and they had put flowers. Like there was a ritual behind this death and recognizing and honoring it 300,000 years ago. It's in our DNA to grieve. And yet, our fast-paced society, we've lost that. And we don't do it in community like we used to. We don't provide that space for it. So we just don't. And sometimes we don't know how to grieve. We don't know how to. And let's admit that it doesn't feel good. It sucks. I mean, it's painful. Who wants to sit around crying? Especially, in our spiritual tradition and our New Thought tradition, we want to feel good. We strive for that spiritual enlightenment. And I'm here sharing that grieving leads to a deepening sense of knowing yourself, and it can lead to a deepening sense of your connection with spirit if you use it in that way, if you're conscious of it. Psychologist Pauline Boss, she did some training in the 70s, I think it was 77, but she talked about this kind of loss. It's called ambiguous loss, and it's a loss that doesn't have a resolution to it. It's unclear, it's unconfirmed, there's no closure. And we talk about this at the hospitals quite a bit. We have support groups and a lot of support around stroke, people who have suffered from stroke and their family. And last week I attended we have a support group, and I attended this support group, and the stroke survivors were talking about how they weren't using the term grieving, but how they know they'll never have their high-paced job back, because they're here functioning in society, but it's just they're not the same person they were before their stroke. One woman shared she had been visiting her brother out of state, and he made a comment to her sister saying, "Oh, she's back to normal. It's like you can't even tell it happened." And she was crushed because every day she struggles not being the same person she was 4 years ago when she had her stroke. So we call that ambiguous loss. It's disenfranchised. And I kind of wanted to focus on that today, and we're going to focus on that in the workshop later this afternoon. It's that loss that others maybe don't know about or don't see, that it's not recognized in our society and maybe even by ourselves. And that loss does deserve the honoring and the reflection and the grieving. And how do we create a space to grieve that we can still function, and that it's healthy, and that we can deepen our spirituality, deepen our knowing of ourselves. That's our goal. And grieving's tricky because we don't all grieve the same, do we? Everybody's a little different. We all grieve differently, and it's not like it's this linear path that we can check the boxes off. Did that. It doesn't work that way. It kind of circles around, it goes back and forth. It doesn't, there's not like a specific time where you go, oh, I'm done with that. Like it's kind of gradual. And it requires us to have some trust in ourselves and listening to ourselves and honoring that we do know what's best. Trusting ourselves, that we, the book I wrote, it's been a couple of years now, 2018, but it's called Trust Your Next Step, knowing that only you know what that next step is. But my belief is that it starts with saying, I have some stuff to grieve. What is it? What is that? What does it look like? And creating a safe space for yourself to do it. We can grieve intentionally, especially those of us who are invested in our spiritual growth and development. And it starts with setting an intention for ourselves. What do I want to achieve from this grief? How can I grieve intentionally? How can I grow from this grief, this experience? Even though it might be uncomfortable, even though we probably didn't want it, what are my lessons to be learned here? How can it bring me closer to my understanding of what God is, of divinity and its relationship with me? And those are just a bunch of questions that there's no answer to, right? But we all have our own answer to it. We can answer. I had this was before COVID. I had a woman come in for a practitioner session at the center that I was with, and she was probably in her 50s, and her parents had died. Her mom had just died. And I met with her for 2 hours. She was crying and hurting, and she kept saying that she was an orphan. And she just kept repeating that. She couldn't believe she was an orphan. And I just kind of thought, are you, when you're 50, is that true? And I didn't know the answer to that. And I, in many ways, wasn't sure how to minister to her. But she was hurting, and she felt very alone, very alone. And looking back and talking with, some of my friends on what was going on there and how do I help someone like that, and she wasn't seeing the oneness that we all share. She was so focused on her immediate loss and how alone she was. She was also going through divorce, so she was feeling very alone. But it is an opportunity to deepen into what we really, really believe about our spiritual teachings. And what is it that you believe? When I was in ministerial school, we had a teacher, Dr. Patty Lukenbach, taught our pastoral care class. And one of the questions she asked us was, she had us go into a meditation as a group, and she said, what comes up for you when you think about death? What does death mean to you? And I was in the meditation, and I saw this, like it was coming out of the side, these dark black clouds coming into my vision, and it was just ominous. And I was sitting there thinking, I could feel my body going like this from death, and I thought, wait a minute, is this like a Disney movie? That's what I was, and I literally said, this isn't what I believe, and at that moment, I realized how much work I still had to do, because I know the words to say, like I know what we believe about the immortality of the soul, was why I picked that reading. our oneness with all of the universe, and energy never died. Like, I know all of these things, but when it came right down to it, I still had this dark Disney cloud coming at me about what do I really believe. And deep down, like, I was repeating the right words, but I hadn't embodied it. And when we grieve and we take the time to honor a loss in our life or an ending, it's an opportunity for us to say, why am I hurting? What is going on? What do I really believe has happened or will happen? What am I mourning? And to take it to a deeper level, for homework, if you even want, you could write down, here's what I'm feeling, here's what's going on, here's what I'm afraid of, and all of the things I lost, because it's really a loss of love. When we lose someone, it's a loss of that deep love. And then our teachings, what do I believe? Like, how do I prove this wrong? Does that make sense? And it takes some time, and it just allows you to go a little deeper with it and say, well, what do I believe? And here I am spewing all these correct terminology out, but is it matching up? Is it matching up with what I'm really feeling over here? That's what we're going to do a little bit this afternoon in the workshop, is explore some of that. So what happens when we're grieving? Some really interesting work. There's a woman named Mary Frances O'Connor. I mean, if you're interested, she's got a TEDx video and like a 2.5-hour podcast interview she did on your brain and neurology, and understanding what's really going on with your brain when someone dies or when you lose something. Super interesting. She talks about the neural pathways, and when we have anything, let's say a divorce, not a death, but we're having a divorce. Our brain has developed neural pathways that every morning when we wake up, that person's here. Or when I've got a great day at work, I go home, or I call this person and text them and share. Like, we've got automated responses over time. We've built this neural pathway. And when that ends, whether it's a death or we move or something happens, we get divorced, our brain is still following those same neural pathways because that's what we've got. And grieving is not, she says, grieving is not about letting go. Grieving is not about recovery. They use that word recovery a bit. She teaches that grieving is about reintegration and really building new neural pathways so that what once was the normal, we are literally in a place of recreating what's normal in our life. And my invitation, that's beautiful invitation to all of us, is how do we do that? What's going on right now? What's at the forefront of what's coming up for you as we're here talking about grieving? And how do you want these new neural pathways to go? Like, what is a positive outcome for you from this grief? What is a positive outcome for you? And that's kind of a hard question to answer sometimes, because grief and positive don't always go together, right? And it's not that we can avoid the grief, the sorrow, the tears. It's all such a natural part of being human. And the more we understand about grief, the more, just even intellectually reading books and watching trainings and videos, the more we intellectually understand it, I think the more consciously we can step into our grief and just kind of open wholeheartedly to it and allow it to heal, allow it to roll through our bodies and ultimately heal with intention from it. So that the new neural pathways that we are creating, we're creating them with intention, and not, they're going to get recreated, not down a path we don't want, if that makes sense. Super interesting stuff. Mary Frances O'Connor just came out with a new book that I haven't read yet. It's called The Grieving Body, and she's talking about how grief is in our body. So she's got some interesting things. So we're trying to understand the new world we're living in. That's what she's talking about. How do I make sense of this? How do I make sense of this new world we're living in? And gosh, this last week was just one more example of this new world that we're living in. How do I make sense of this? I might not want it to be my new normal, and here I am. I have no choice. How do I make sense of this new world that I'm in intentionally and consciously? How do I use this change that I don't want and didn't ask for? How do I use it as a catalyst for transformation? How do I deepen my connection with God through this? And you say, how do I deepen my connection with God? We just had a really rough week. Like, those two don't seem like they go together in many ways. And I challenge us that the world needs us to make it come together in our own way. We're called to this work. And it's not that it's easy. There's no way to make grieving itself not painful. There's no way to avoid the need to do it. And we can do it intentionally and with some self-love and set ourselves up for success with it, rather than kind of blindly flailing around or being stuck in a hospital bed and it just comes out because this is what had to happen for the grief to come out. So some of the first steps to using grief as a catalyst for change is to name it and share it. Name it and share it. Like, sounds pretty simple. That's what we're going to do this afternoon. Name it, share it. And then the other intention from this is increasing our capacity to grieve. Which, to me, what does that mean? Increasing our capacity to grieve. How I vision that is, instead of, in the beginning when we've lost someone or something, we just cry. Like, it's uncontrolled. It's the worst of the pain. Crying, not being in control in many ways. And the more we intentionally open our hearts and create space for it to happen, for it to flow through our body, the more we have the ability to hold that space, a little wider, a little more intentionally, a little more healing, a little more on purpose, on task, using it to deepen our self, our knowing of God, our knowing of who we are and why we're here and what's going on. It's that intentionality. There's a Buddhist teaching called present moment, wonderful moment. And we might not associate grieving with present moment, wonderful moment, but the Buddhist belief is all we have is this right now, this moment right now. And what tools do I have to be mindful enough to stay in the right here, right now, in this present moment, and to breathe in, and even though it might be painful, know that it's wonderful, and know that this pain, this grieving, is a part of our divinity. We've been grieving for over 300,000 years. It's part of our makeup, and I don't see any reason that it would go away. I don't think that it's something we outgrow. Or the more conscious we get, the less we grieve. I don't think that that's a thing. In fact, some of the spiritual traditions, some religions, they disavow grieving because people are going to be with God. They're going to be with heaven, and why cry? Be happy for them. I don't think that's natural. Like, it's part of who we are to grieve. My We had a dog, Chewbacca. He's a golden retriever. He was 100-pound golden retriever. He was the biggest dog. And I don't know what I was thinking. We got him, and I had 3 daughters, and Chewbacca just got into everything. He could open the door and get in the peanut butter and take the jar off. He would eat like an entire Costco bag of chocolate chips. Threw up, he was just in everything. And we will tell stories of this dog for decades. You know, have you had one of those dogs? Well, Chewy was a golden retriever, and everyone thought he was super friendly because he's a golden retriever, but the truth is he was a rescue dog, and he wasn't always friendly like people expect golden retrievers. So I didn't take him like to the dog park. He'd get in a fight. Well, there'd be like one dog, and he'd be like, and he was bigger than me. So I didn't always take him out, and he would, we live in a neighborhood, and you know how neighborhoods people walk by your fence, and he'd go, just attacking through the fence, and our neighbor had a dog, and the 2 of them would just, well, my neighbor comes over after he died and said that his dog hadn't been feeling well. Actually, his dog's name was Althea, which is that his dog wasn't feeling well, and he's telling us we're so worried about his dog, and it was kind of a littler dog, and he took the dog to the vet, and the vet asked him all these questions, and he finally said, well, has there been any changes in your house? And he goes, well, my neighbor's dog did die. And the vet said, he's grieving. Althea's grieving. And I just cried because Chewy had no friends because he was a little jerk. I mean, and I felt so bad for him. And then I was so happy that he had a friend. You know, they went through the fence and, but even the dog's grief, like it's not going away. So our task is to embrace it, embrace the grief, lean in to how do I consciously grieve? How can I take this pain? And what is my lesson? How do I grow through it? And we don't do that by avoiding it. We do it by acknowledging it. We do it by, in our own way, creating our sacred space to grieve, and by increasing our capacity to grieve. And we're going to play with that a little bit this afternoon. I'd like to kind of close today with a quote from a book called Unattended Sorrow by S. Levine. Loss is the absence of something we were once attached to. Grief is the rope burns left behind when that which is held is pulled beyond our grasp. I thought that was really beautiful. Thank you.
And I'd give up forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. And all I can taste is this moment. All I can breathe is your life. And sooner or later it's over. I just don't wanna miss you tonight. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. the tears that ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your life, when everything feels like the movies. Yeah, you bleed just to know you're alive. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am.
We have been blessed with so many gifts just sitting here in this space today. From Berena's voice, to Kelly's message, to Dan back here that you can hardly see, to the volunteers, to Kristen. So this is the time where we practice the law of circulation, of giving and receiving. It's two sides of the same coin. So ushers are coming up here. We will bless the givings. Whatever you are willing to give in this moment, please hold it in your hand, hold it in your heart, and we will affirm together. The universe provides all that I need and all that I give. With great joy, I share my prosperity, planting seeds for a world I am helping manifest, and so it is. Amen. All right, the ushers will come around, and remember that it is us together that keep the lights on, us together. We pay for our speakers, our guest speakers, and we pay for our musicians. We are the ones that keep this center open for us and for our community. So thank you for what you can donate. Thank you for what you can give. Remember, if you want to give with a card, I will be with the Clover back in by the Welcome Center right after we finish. Remember, you can also give on the website, the QR, and our Clover. All right, we're going to close out with our community song with Berena, and then our closing prayer with Reverend Robbins. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have a fantastic and blessed week.
Let there be peace on earth. Sorry. Hello, hello, test. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my soul and vow. Take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
We give thanks for today, for all of our souls here and community as we share in our spiritual deepening, our love for each other and community, and our healing space. that we have, this sacred space. We give thanks and we beam with the bright light of love as we go forth with the rest of today and this week. We give thanks for Althea Center and for all that we do here. Thank you, God. Amen.